Hello and welcome to episode number 285 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is the first Raw of the week week 1 of September 2022, and the road to Unforgiven continues, and we've got a big show tonight, let alone Unforgiven, Raw tag team titles on the line in tonight's main event. Path of the Dragon challenge rated RKO. We've got the 8-woman tag team match, DKE, Sasha Banks and Indy Hartwell against all of Charlotte's crew. Got Mustafa Ali's Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge. We've got the 6-woman gauntlet match to determine who will face Bianca Belair at Unforgiven. And kicking us off tonight, we've got Drew McIntyre against Chad Gable. And we're also going to hear from Sheamus and Cody Rhodes on tonight's show. Without any further ado, let's jump straight into the show. Bang, 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 pyro time. Tom Phillips and Kingsley Queen go over the show. And yeah, they're going over what I just went over, basically. And then we open into the first match, which apparently gets an 81 because there's a lack of psychology and Gable's gimmick is getting stale. And there's no storyline attached as the main reason. But yes, Drew wins. He beats Gable 10-18 with a Claymore. Just a nice opener for after their interaction last week. Like a quick 2-week thing. Drew gets an 85 and 80 for Gable. And yeah, Drew McIntyre picks up the win. But it's after the win where things start getting interesting because he takes the microphone and he goes, right, now that's out of the way, I've got more important things to deal with. Sheamus, I know you're there. I know you're here. Get your ass out here now and explain yourself why you did what you did at Unforgiven. And then, like, a couple of seconds go by. He goes, I'm not joking, Sheamus. Get out here right now. Like, you ain't got time to waste here. And he comes out and he's like, fella, what's this? Like, I've been gone for a week and all of a sudden everybody, I'm the talk of the town. First things first, Drew. I don't owe you a damn explanation at all. This has nothing to do with you. I was the one. I still stuck by you and challenged for them tag team championships on night 2. This is just me taking care of my business. This ain't your business, Drew. This is mine. Okay? So, nice to get that out of the way. First things first. Yes, obviously I appreciate Big E and the New Day for all their help, with us fighting off Edge and his goons. But I don't see why that means I have to sit back and take a back seat. Big E's got something I want. Something I don't want Edge having, but something I want more than I don't want Edge having it. So all I did was I left a statement of intent at the end of SummerSlam, McIntyre. If you're content to sit here and coast by, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to get left behind here by me. And Drew's like, you're right. Maybe I did overreact a little. Maybe this isn't really my business. But you wanting that World Heavyweight Championship, that is my business, because everybody on the show, including me, wants that championship, Sheamus. If you were going to try and cut the line by making a statement of intent against Big E, you'll have to still get behind me, Sheamus. So if you've got a problem and you want the World Heavyweight Championship, then me and you, we are going to have a problem pretty fucking fast. And Sheamus like, all right, fella, well, why don't we fight it out right now and see who's the true number 1 contender? And then Big E's music hits. And he's like not happy lucky Big E, he's still kind of pissed. And he goes, so, what I'm seeing is 2 people in this ring who are talking about wanting to be the World Heavyweight Champion, but as far as I know, only one person on this goddamn show is the World Heavyweight Champion. And Drew, got a hell of a lot of respect for you, me and Drew. But what Sheamus was saying is right, you need to keep your nose out of World Champion business. Because this ain't got anything to do with you. Nah, this has got everything to do with me and Sheamus. And Sheamus, if it's a fight you want, well, I don't see why we can't do that right now. Big E storms into the ring. He tries to get Sheamus. Sheamus runs away. And it's like Big E and Drew sort of like awkwardly sharing looks in the ring. And then Edge pops up on the Titantron. And he goes, what is this? Like, E, you can't possibly be considering a new challenger for your World Heavyweight Championship. I'm not done here. Like, at SummerSlam, I should have been the World Heavyweight Champion. I would have been. You can't accept that victory is legitimate. Like, sure, you beat me 1, 2, 3. Congratulations. Here's a medal. but in the record books, it doesn't say everything that went on, New Day, Sheamus, Drew, all of that. None of that's going to be listed. It's just going to say that Big E defeated Edge, and that doesn't tell the whole story. Now, unlike Drew and Sheamus, I don't need the World Heavyweight Championship to be successful. I just need it to fulfill my prophecy. So hell, I'm defending my other championship here tonight. And if you three are going to keep butting heads, that's going to make the quest to get the Grand Jury their World Championship a hell of a lot more easier. So I appreciate it, Rip each other's heads off for all I care, because as far as I'm aware, I'm still the rightful heir to the World Heavyweight Championship throne, and no amount of bickering or brogue kicks or anything that you guys can do will change that fact. And we cut to commercial after that. 4 people staking their claim for the world title. We then cut backstage to Alexa in her office, just sort of getting the show ready. Then we hear a knock on the door. It's like, come in. And it's Crypto, Corbin, and Non-Phantom Police. Like, oh, Lexi, good afternoon to you. And she's like, hey, Corbs, what can I do for you? It's like, oh, nothing much, I'm just seeing you as my boss, I gotta thank you. Alexa's like, you're welcome? He's like, see, giving me this platform to express my interest in my great investments has helped there's a lot of people on Twitter telling me, hey, Corbs, you really helped me see the light, All these credible people, they're credible, because they've got hexagons as their profile picture. That's how they're really smart and into this and on top of it, I've helped connect with my people. I've found my new purpose in life, Alexa, and because of me, stocks are going up. So, you showcasing me on the longest running weekly episodic television show in the history of television has helped not only me, but but the market as a whole. Looky here. And he gets up and goes, look, these are the stock prices from last night, okay? What do you see? And she's like, that is a graph going upwards. He's like, yeah, you're goddamn right it is. You think this is a coincidence? This is worth hundreds upon thousands of dollars. And Alexa's there, she's like, it's just a picture of a monkey. And Corb's like, yes, but it's my monkey, You don't own this monkey. And she's like, at any point, I'm going to stop you right here. You sat at home, you did all this yourself, and, you got this monkey up, hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever it is, and you came here tonight to show it off. And he's like, yeah, you goddamn right I did. And Alexa's like, at any point, did you stop and think to yourself, maybe Alexa doesn't care? And he's like, well, no, because you see, nobody on this locker room cares. Because no one's hip to the times like me. And I'm going to leave you all behind when I become the richest man in the history of WWE. $1 Million Man, eat your heart out. And you're all stuck wondering, how did Corbus find all that success? It's because of this, Alexa. And she's like, is that all? And he's like, yeah, that's all. And then she's like, good, then leave. And he goes, fine, I was going to leave anyway. And he leaves the office. And he's like, niece, why does nobody care about my monkey? And he's like, I don't know, Corbs, I don't know. And then they walk off, and we see Ludwig was eavesdropping that whole time. Speaking of eavesdropping, Titus World Records, they approach our locker room, and we can obviously hear music blaring out from it because it's the J-Flow room, and they're practicing their performance for Mackie and the Gauntlet later. When Titus knocks, and then we hear the music suddenly stop, and we hear Mackie go, ah! And she opens the door, she's like, hello? And he's like, ladies, I have a great business proposition for you 5. And Mackie's like, we're not interested. And slams the door in his face. And he's like, you need to listen. I'm not offering you a spot in the greatest musical record label in WWE history, Titus World Records. This is a combined effort from both of us. And Mackie sort of, she the door then turns ajar and, peeks her eye out. She's like, continue. And it's like, well, it's not really hard for me to explain, I'll send you the deets. What's your email? And then Mackie just flips him off from outside the door. It's like, okay, well, take a flyer, maybe think about it over, and get back to us next week. Let us know what you think, because I think this is going to be a big success for not only us two and WWE as a whole. And then the door slams shut again, and Titus like, Billy Kay was like, did she accept? And he's like, well, we'll think about it. She said she's going to think about it. And Peter's like, well, she better, because this is going to be, this is going to make Titus World Records, and if they get on board, them as well. And he's like, I know. So, interesting proposition has been made by Titus O'Neil to J-Flow. We then get, I promised it last week, we get a recap, the debut of Morgan and Hams last week on Raw, and their match of Charlotte and Danny Jordan for the tag titles. And then they're going to sit down with Jimmy Smith. It's going to be a 3-parter, and all parts are on the show. And he's like, basically, like, I, obviously being an employee of WWE and a fan of wrestling, I know you two from NXT, and you two finally making a mark here on the main roster. For those of you who don't know, those of you in the WWE universe who don't know, who are Daniels, Katana, and Enchilada? And it's like, we'll start with you, Morgan. And she's like, Jimmy, who is Morgan Daniels is a difficult question, because, like, I've been so many different people in my life. Like, I was never into this when I grew up. Like, it was on in the bar back in my hometown of Santa Muxtony, and that's where I did my work. I was behind a bar, barkeeping, really struggling for cash. But I never used to be as humble as I am now. I used to be a bit of a bitch, growing up. And I guess being humbled when you leave high school and hitting rock bottom makes you see a world in a completely different way. No longer was I, Morgan Daniels, the preppy high schooler with all her friends, like one of the popular kids. I was now like, I had nothing going for me in my life. So I had to work, all my friends had moved on, and then wrestling came to town, and some of my family were really into it. And then I realized that those people, they're just like me. They also came from nothing, and they're in there doing this. And if they can, like, get a second lease on life and a second chance to rebuild themselves, then surely I can too. So I trained, I worked out, seen The Rock in films. I was like, hey, this guy used to be a wrestler. I'm going to be cool and hot like him one day. And now we're here. This is where it took me to WWE. And I made some friends, some very interesting friends along the way. And she was like, well, we'll get back to you. We'll get back to Hams later on tonight. But first, Veer Mahan coming to Raw. In case you forgot, he is still coming hard and long to Raw. Mustafa Ali. He comes to the ring and he goes, well, I said last week, here I am. Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge. I want to be a fighting champion. I want to help spotlight some of the stars of Monday Night Raw in great championship action. Something I wish people would have done for me back in the day a lot. I'd have been the exact sort of person that would have loved to have answered, John Cena when he was doing this and people like that. So, here's my extended opportunity to you. Anybody back there on the Raw roster that wants a shot at my title, come out and face me, I'm right here. Out comes Sami Zayn. And them two get into the ring and the music stops and they just sort of have a face-off for like 10 seconds. There's a lot of history here between these two. And he takes the mic and he's like, nice to see you again, Sammy. You're looking well. Sammy goes, am I? Because that's the thing. I've not been at my best recently. In fact, I've been away from the show for a while now. And yeah, you're looking well, The damage that you and your message did on my mental health and my mental psyche, it really threw me off my game. And here I'm seeing that you're here and you're looking to, repent for those sins, but there's no better way for you to repent for your sins than to face off against the very person that those sins destroyed the most, Ali. because, don't get me wrong, I respect that you are beyond what you used to be now. And you're in your, I guess, rebuilding phase of your personal life. But I'm never going to forget the pain you put me through all those months. So quite frankly, the chance to take that championship off you right now, looking very, 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 very tempting. And Ali's like, goes, well, like I said, I am here to repent for all of those actions, and I'm going to do just that. And I guess facing off with you, Sammy, after everything I put you through, is the main number one sin that I must repent for. So if the championship match that you want, it's a championship match that you're gonna get. Joe Gacy and the Helpers walk out, and he's like, Mustafa, Sammy, please, if you'll let me indulge you for a couple of seconds. See, this doesn't have to be the way that things are around here. You, Sami Zayn, have talked about how you have been lost and not been yourself recently, and you blame Mustafa Ali for that. But maybe you should look deeper within yourself and maybe think that maybe you're the problem. Because, Sammy, it's very easy, once you're a helper of mine, to be the very best version of yourself that you can be, like Aisling McPhee is, like Wolf Gruber is. And he stops and looks at Aziz, and Aziz is of course staring a dagger through Ali. Because there's a lot of history there as well, and he goes, like Aziz is, the best he's ever been. And Ali goes, well, hi, Gacy, I know you're out here, like, you beat me a couple of weeks ago, so you obviously feel like now I'm the champion. You deserve a shot at that title. And he's like, no, Mr. Ali, you don't understand, I would never suggest such horrid things. Me being the Intercontinental Champion would help spread my message of peace to the Raw roster and to the WWE fans as a whole around the world. But I'm not in the business of begging for championship opportunities. I'm just here to help you and give you a helping hand, and you, Sami Zayn, and even you, Ali, right now look like people that could need some help, because there's no better way to cleanse your body than to be on my side. Hell, Aziz is doing a good job preventing, you caused him to commit a lot of sins, Ali, and he now feels free of all of that, while you two are still struggling. And Sammy and Ali look together, and he's like, you know what I said earlier on, Ali? You did put me through a lot of shit. But when push came to shove, me and you, we made a hell of a team. And what better way to help me get over that than by aligning with you right here to kick these guys' ass? And Ali goes, I like the sound of that, Sammy. And then they charge at Gacy and Wolf, take them down, but then Aziz sort of cuts them both off. And we get Aziz, standing over his former mentor and, I guess, stablemate, Sami Zayn. And then he grabs Ali by the throat for a chokeslam. Ali, you can see he's still kind of hesitant to hit him. Because he still obviously likes all of those guys. And he still seems kind of hesitant to hit Aziz. And then bang, he goes for a double chokeslam on both of them. When he's jumped from behind by Manny-kun. Manny-kun jumps on Aziz's back and starts attacking him. And he goes, He drops Sammy and Ali. Aisling McPhee pulls Manny off, but then Sarray runs in and takes her out of a dropkick. And then them two fight on the outside. And then we get the three smaller guys, Manny, Ali, and Sammy, hitting stereo finishes to finally take Aziz to the ringside. And then they stand tall as Joe Gacy's on the ramp just shaking his head. So interesting developments, Gacy's made a lot of enemies in his short time here on Raw. It appears the anime boys aren't done with him just yet. Promo segment. The Regal Coalition. They're recapping last week's segment where Ridge Holland turned on Finn and aligned with the Regal Coalition. And it's narrated by Regal. He goes, last week we made our statement abundantly clear. The Regal Coalition is done playing games around here in WWE. Now we're going to take by force what we want. And what we want is Raw and SmackDown, to go back to the way they used to be, the way they should be around here. And that's my vision of professional wrestling. British strong style of professional wrestling. So, along with my own flesh and blood, Charlie Dempsey, the Grizzled Young Veterans, Alba Fire, and the Blitzkrieg over on SmackDown are doing their thing, while us here on Raw, we look forward to dominating at the top with Dudley, Davis, Pete Dunne, Gunter, Florence, and good old Ridge Holland. And then Ridge speaks, he's like, Finn, you brought me up here, I was supposed to be your bodyguard, for lack of a better term, and to try and keep that World Heavyweight Championship on you, but you failed everybody. You lost that championship and you sort of became a loser. I don't associate with losers, Finn, because I am the strongest British grit on this entire roster. So there's felt no better home than me, once your little club had disbanded and Santos went to SmackDown, than to combine with my fellow British Empire here. And then Florence speaks, like, and Liv, if you want to get involved in this and help the man that, corrupted you, like, he's not a good person, it'd be better in your best interest to just leave this alone. And then we see Liv watching the whole thing on the TV backstage, and then Sarah comes up to her like, any comments, Liv? She goes, yeah, I've got a comment. Florence, this is my business, no matter how we formed, Balor Club was a for life family. So this is my business, and next week you're my business. Me and you one-on-one here on Raw. And Liv leaves. We then get a quick backstage segment. Xia Li, she's obviously doing some last-minute training because part of the Dragunov run, fighting for the tag titles in the main event. And then Malcolm Bivens approaches, just Bivens, and he's like, oh, Xia Li. She's like, what? She snaps her head back and just stares at him. She's like, oh, don't, relax. As I said last week, the Bivens Enterprise management here in WWE, just like William Regal, I'm looking to expand my wings, and really take this thing off to new heights. And I see you, baby girl. I see you from across the hallway, and I'm thinking, she needs my help. And she's like, no thanks. And then continues training, and he's like, no? What do you mean, no thanks? You're gonna sit here hanging around with these goofs? One who dresses up like a dragon, and these other guys? And she goes, they're my family. And he's like, okay, baby girl, I wanted you, I could really take you to the top, but if you're gonna disrespect me like that, then... And then Zergus walks into him and just growls at Bivens. And he goes, alright, I get the message, but... Xia Li, here's my phone number. Give me a call when you're ready to, hop on the Bivens bandwagon. And you, Dragon Boy. And then Omos walks, we didn't see him walk into frame, we just see, him, the shadow of Omos, tower over Bivens. Before we pan up and see Omos himself, and he goes, you might want to watch who you're growling at. And then they walk off, and Omos and Zergus have a bit of a stare down. Part 2 of the DKE backstory is Ham's time. Shaz is not as in-depth. She is... it details her being born in Japan. She really grew up watching, I guess, engrossing in Japanese culture. And her stuffed pig is called Goku because she loves, I guess, anime. And she was a competitive eater, I guess. She likes to eat food. And that's how... I don't know how she got into wrestling. I can't remember how she got into wrestling. I'll have to ask Gamma to do the backstory about Hams. I think she just was talented at it and then was like, oh, I'm going to do this instead of eating because there's not really money to be made in eating. There's money to be made in wrestling. Shit like that. But, yeah, not very complex backstory, you know. It's just Ham's, you know, being a competitive eater and eating food and liking Ham and Goku and shit. Then Bianca makes her entrance because it's women's gauntlet time. It's going to be Shida, Julia, Scarlett, Sonya, Nova, and Maki. The winner of the gauntlet will face Bianca for the title at Unforgiven, and Bianca's going to be at ringside for the whole thing. The first two in the match, I believe, are Scarlett and Maki, I think. Yes, and that gets a 70. That's pretty good considering it's Scarlett and Maki, you know. And 6:44, Scarlett picked up the first win. She beats Maki with a bedazzler in 6:44. 72 for Scarlett, 70 for Maki. And yeah, she advances onto the next match of the gauntlet. And I believe that's against Shida. Yeah. That also gets a 70. And Scarlett, after picking up her first win, you know, of the first match, she falls here. She can't quite beat Shida. Shida wins in 7:29 with the Majo no Ichigeki. 75 for Shida, 72 for Scarlett. And yeah, Shida will then move on to face, I want to say, Sonya. It is Sonya Deville. That match gets an 81. Despite the ratings being the same as the previous match. And Shida wins again. She pins Sonya in 9:50 with the Majo no Ichigeki. 73 for Sonya Deville, 74 for Shida. And yeah, big win for Hikaru Shida here. Second on the spin, she's eliminated two members of the female portion of the grand jury. Will she make it a hat-trick? She faces Julia up next. In another 70. That match should have been better than a 70. What was the reason for it not being? Short match length, apparently. Okay. Julia ends Shida's run. Julia wins with a crossbody in 7 minutes, 2 seconds. 82 for Julia, 83 for Shida. And Julia is then in the final match of the gauntlet, where she'll face off with Nova Nebula. That match gets an 81, and it goes 12:23, but it is Nova Nebula who picks up the win. She defeats Julia, 12:23, area 451. 83 for Nova, 78 for Julia. And after making her Raw debut back in April, Nova is now on course for a singles championship opportunity against the champion Bianca Belair at Unforgiven. And Bianca gets up from ringside after the match, gets in the ring, holds her belt up, and shakes Nova's hand, and they respect each other. Two faces going at it in a championship match. When Julia, who's still in the ring, jumps Nova from behind and boos, and then Bianca's like, bitch, fuck you, punches her, but then Scarlett re-enters the ring and they're outnumbered, and the heels leave the champ and Nova laying. Sore losers, I guess. Speaking of champions, we see Big E storming through the hall. He goes, oh, this fucking World Heavyweight Championship shit. And I'm going to sort this shit out right now, boys. And the New Day boys are behind him going, yeah, let's go storm into that office, E. Big E barges into Alexa's office, and she's like, can I help you? And he's like, yeah, you can help me. You know, I'm sick of this. I've been World Heavyweight Champion since WrestleMania on this goddamn show, and I've never, the world title situation has never been as messy as it is right now. You know, Sheamus, I want to kick that boy's head in so bad, or what he did to me at SummerSlam. You know, Drew McIntyre. I think he's acting the big man. He's trying to act like, you know, he's the bigger man in the situation, but he's just as manipulative. And Edge, you know, I'm never going to get tired of beating his ass. And Alex goes, so what do you want me to do about it, you know? Do you want me to book a triple threat next week between them to see who goes to Unforgiven? And Wood's like, ooh, I like that. And then Kofi's like, no. Tell you what I like better. How about us three next week against them three? And if they win, they go to Unforgiven. All of them. And Wood's like, oh, that is good. And Big E goes, no. You're both wrong. Alexa, I don't want no BS. I don't want them owning their shots at the championship. I need to let them know right now who the big dog is in this town. And that's me. I'm Unforgiven, Alexa. I want all three of them in a fatal four-way. And she goes, whoa, that's big. And he goes, yeah, that's big. Big's in my name, Bliss, you know. And she goes, well, I have no reason to object against that match, so... Along with, I guess, Bianca defending against Nova, I guess, now set for Unforgiven, Big E, you'll defend your World Heavyweight Championship against Edge, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus in a fatal 4-way. And he goes, that's great. And Alex says, well, there was one thing that, that you guys said that I kind of like the sound of. And they're like, what's that? And Alexa goes, you know, you three against Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, and Edge next week. And then Big E goes, well, I'll take him on no matter what. I need to prove that I'm still the big boy here. So, big match set for Unforgiven. Fatal 4-way World Heavyweight Championship match. Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier... what am I reading out? Big E, Edge, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then next week, it's Big E, Kofi, and Woods against Sheamus, Drew, and Edge. Can they coexist? Question mark, question mark, question mark. The final DKE segment. And Jimmy Smith's still down there because, well, girls, you know, we've seen the Daniels, we've seen the Katana. What's the enchilada? And then Morgan, obviously she's talking again now because she speaks English, Hams doesn't. She goes, well, Jimmy, again, like I said, the story of us two as individuals, it's a weird, complex one. We came here separately, you know, both with nothing, really, to gain. Nothing to lose, we just came here to take the chance. And we were both struggling, you know, for a couple of months down in NXT by ourselves. And that's when we bonded, you know, in catering, two girls were picking on Hams for eating all the food. And me, all I did was stand up for somebody I thought was being wronged. And Hams, I guess, never forgot that, and she stayed loyal to me this whole time. And now we've become best friends because of it. And she had the last enchilada on her plate. She shared it with me, and we've bonded from that ever since. So that's the key to our friendship, I guess, Jimmy. And no matter what goofy antics we get up to together, we'll always remember that enchilada that she shared with me is a kind, giving token from somebody who happily would have eaten it herself. And that's it. That's about it. No matter how much goofy shit we get up to, you know, we're ready to kick ass and take our friendship to the next level, even further heights on Monday Night Raw. And Jimmy goes, well, it has been great, you know, teaching the Raw universe about Daniel's Katana Enchilada, and good luck on Monday's episode again when you team with Sasha and Indy against Charlotte and her crew. And she's like, thank you, Jimmy, thank you. And then we pan out to see them in DKE and Gorilla, watching the video on the television, because that's all I do, apparently. And they're, sort of hugging each other and shit, oh, shit, that's us. And then we hear Sasha and Indy walk in, and hello. Focus. I know you're new here, it's still kind of surreal to see yourself on the screens around here, but I don't want any of this pre-game nerves, you know. This match is important to me and Indy, you know. Charlotte's been a thorn in my side for 6 years. I need you on top of your game. And Morgan's like, don't you worry about us. You can banks on it. And Sasha's like, yeah, don't ever say that again. And then DKE's music hits and they go out for the match. Match gets an 81. That's actually pretty good considering there's 4 unimportant people in it. 2 recognizable / well-knowns, and then 2 main eventers. But it is the babyface team. Sasha, Indy, Morgan, and Hams pick up the win. Sasha submits Jordan with a bank statement to score the victory for the babyface team. 93 for Sasha, 67 for Indy, 66 for Morgan. Already nearly scoring the same as Indy. Okay, fair enough. Hams 41, 63 for Skylar, 65 for Aaliyah, 74 for Jordan, and 87 for Charlotte. And there we go. Big win for the babyface women here tonight. Then cut backstage. Manny and Saraya catching up with Sensei. And Manny like, did you see that? We totally stuck it to Gacy, you know? He really thought that he was ready to move on, you know, because he took that pin and he's like, oh, I'm going to change the world and become the Intercontinental champion. Hardy, yeah. But I'm not having it. Not on our watch, Sensei. And Sensei's like, well, it sure does suck about what happened to Dio, but we can't really let that hamper us. Because as much as we try not to be, we don't want to be in the filler arc here, boys. Or boy and girl. Guys, I guess. So you just keep you focused, you know. Let Gacy know that we're not letting him off. We're getting that pendant back, you know. He may have won at SummerSlam, but we're going to come back better than ever. And then Ali and Sammy walk up and they're like, hey, you know, we appreciate the help, Manny, you know. You and I, we're a lot alike, you know. A lot of confused people on Twitter really think that we're sort of brothers or whatever. And Manny goes, yeah, that's weird, isn't it? And he goes, yeah, it is, yeah. But this thing you've got going on here, like, I'll pass. But if you've got enemies of Gacy and he wants to be enemies of me, I guess you can consider us allies. And Manny goes, that's awesome. Like, I'll get you matching anime outfits with me, and we can fight together. Pow, 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 you know, practice our fighting moves. And Sammy goes, yeah, no. We'll pass on the anime fights. We'll focus on the wrestling. You know, that's what we do best. Okay? So how about next week, you, Manny, and Saray, because we need a girl, you know, because they've got one, team of us two against Gacy and his crew. And Manny goes, oh, I don't know, you know, Dio would... And Sensei's like, Dio would want you to do this. Dio would want you to prove your worth. Manny, Saray, step out of our shadow, you know, and find your worth, because you'll have his power with you, not physically, but in here. And Manny goes, you're so right, Sensei. This is why you are Sensei. Yeah, I'll team with you. And he puts his hands in there like a fist bump. And Saray, I guess, joins in as well. And then they're like, we'll see you out there next week. Wrestling has more than one royal family. Out comes Cody. And he's a very different, dejected Cody Rhodes. He takes the microphone, he stands around for a couple of seconds, just looking around, taking in the reaction. And he goes, you know, you hear it blaring around the arena every time I make my entrance. Because it's not just a catchy slogan to put in a theme song or a fun lyric. It's a true statement. You know, when I was younger, my father did tell me, hard times, they do breed better men. And my father famously knew what hard times were. And so do I. Hard times for me are when you give everything to this business. You take a chance on yourself and you decide, you know, I'm not being presented as I would like to be. I'm going to go out and prove to them that I should be better than this. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to prove that I am better than this. That's hard times. Hard times is, you know, completing that goal, coming back, defeating the man who runs the entire empire at WrestleMania. And then publicly, in front of millions around the world, declaring your intent to do your legendary father proud by achieving the one thing he could never achieve in this business. And you fail. Those are hard times. I could come out here, I could make a million excuses. You know, the very obvious blaring one being that Roman Reigns, you know, didn't beat me himself. Roman Reigns had outside interference. Roman Reigns had an ally in the form of an enemy. But the fact is, I screwed up. You know? And now, for as long as Roman Reigns holds the WWE Championship, I can never achieve my goal But fear not, worry not, because my destiny has not been cut to an end. It's merely been put on ice until Roman Reigns loses the WWE Championship. But in the meantime, I need to find my new purpose here in WWE, because I hedged my entire run on becoming the WWE Champion. So now, what is a man to do? What is a man to do? A man who's got no goal. A man whose goal was taken away from him. A man who sort of just exists in this realm. I've sort of become what I hated 6 years ago. But now it's time for me to step up. It's time for that locker room to step up and prove why we are the best damn roster in the world. Out comes Karrion. Let the bodies hit the floor. Out comes Karrion Kross. And he goes,
Sorry to hear about your problems, Cody. You know, some of us have been WWE Champion. Let me tell you, it's a good time, pal. Maybe one day, kid, when Roman decides he wants to stop being the champion again, you know, maybe then you can finally see what it's like to be super sick like me. Hell, I might even go and beat Roman myself. I've done that before. I did that at WrestleMania. But as for you, Cody, you sort of seem down right now like the world is beating you down. And trust me, the world beats us all down. But it's about how we deal with it. You know, I have gone on to resent the world and everything it gives me, or doesn't give me. And look at us now. We're causing genocide and pain to everybody. But it's not my own fault, Cody. It's the world's fault for making me this way. And it can make you this way too. Think about it right now. Cody, with a K, in the Karrion Kross cult.
And Cody's like, I know I'm sort of desperate right now, you know, to find my purpose. But I'm gonna have to pass, sorry. And Karrion goes,
What do you mean pass? You know? We let everybody in this cult. We're accepting of everybody.
And Colin's like, behind him, like, what the fuck? You haven't even added me in yet.
He goes, well, kid, it was nice knowing you. Because if you can't be the WWE Champion, you yourself have admitted you have no purpose on this show. So allow us to take you out.
And then Karrion charges at him. Cody ducks. Clothesline takes him down. Takes down Carcass. Takes down Cutler. Goes to take down Colin. But I guess Colin sort of just backs away and doesn't get involved in the fighting because he's not actually a part of the cult yet. And then Cody Carter takes down Cutler. Crossroads to Carcass. Crossroads to Karrion Kross. And he like rips his suit off and gets on the top rope and starts pounding his chest as he gets all adrenaline in his soul. And I needed some heel fodder for him to beat up in this segment, and Karrion Kross trying to recruit Cody with a K was funny to me, so it happened. But yeah, Cody does sort of need to find his way here on Raw right now. Speaking of Raw, next week a big show. And I'm not talking Paul White. First, we have, following the gauntlet victory for Nova Nebula and the attack by Scarlett and Julia, it will be Bianca and Nova teaming up against Scarlett and Julia next week here on Raw. We also have Malcolm Bivens, after his confrontation with Xia Li in the back, has found a new female client. And that female client of Malcolm Bivens will collide with Xia Li in singles action on next week's episode of Raw. We have another big 8-person tag team match, as Mustafa Ali, Sami Zayn, Manny Koon and Saray take on Joe Gacy, Aziz, Wolf Gruber and Aisling McPhee, the Helpers. Then we have a huge 6-man tag team match. The New Day, Big E, Kofi and Xavier Woods fighting the dysfunctional trio of Edge, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. And also announced for next week, Florence versus Liv Morgan. Fresh off of, Ridge Holland turning and joining the Regal Coalition. The women's member of the Regal Coalition and the Battle Club will face off in singles action. But then, moving on from next week's Raw, we've got Unforgiven in just under 3 weeks' time. And we now know the main event of that show will be a fatal 4-way for the World Heavyweight Championship. Big E, Edge, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre fighting it off for a chance to call themselves World Heavyweight Champion. And we also found out, because of the gauntlet result earlier on tonight, Nova Nebula will challenge Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship on the show on Sunday, week 3 of September. Banging main event, let's go. I'm so happy this did well. This is Path of the Dragon's big break, they're main eventing Raw. So, the match goes 18 minutes and 8 seconds. Edge and Randy are, they're accompanied by Priest and the Vikings. When the fight continues going on, Zergus, he's out there as well, but I don't know, he gets isolated by Priest and the Vikings, I guess. Probably gets put south of heaven through the table or something. Zergus gets taken out, Priest and the Vikings stand tall. And they keep getting heat on Tozawa. He's the guy that gets beaten up and gets the heat on him. When the ruckus continues again, because Drew McIntyre and Big E are fighting off the Vikings and Damian Priest because they want a fair fight here, Actually, no, probably just the Vikings. Actually, yeah. Just the Vikings get taken out by Big E and Drew McIntyre. So Priest is still out there, And Randy's the legal man. He's going for an RKO when Zergus rises at ringside and he gets him and Priest brawl. And Edge goes to the outside. He tries to start pulling it off. Go, wait, stop it, And then Zergus boots Priest and he goes down. And then Edge tosses Zergus to the floor, attacks him with a chair or some shit. So Zergus is also wiped out. But as Edge is down, he turns around, bang, accidentally twats Randy Orton. Randy goes down. And then Big E and Drew McIntyre come back out, or they're still out there or whatever, take Edge down at ringside. And then Humberto hits a massive moonsault into the middle of the ring on Randy. And they score the 1-2-3. And we have new Raw Tag Team Champions. Finally, Path of the Dragon are on top of the Raw Tag Team division. Tozawa gets an 81, an 88 for Humberto, an 86 for Edge, and an 85 for Randy. So, a lot of chicanery, a lot of, brawling on the outside. But in the end, it was an accidental miscommunication by Edge and Randy that led to Path of the Dragon dethroning Rated RKO to become the Raw Tag Team Champions. They get big pyro. They get a big celebration. Zergus is back to his feet. He's got him on his shoulders. Zaya's out there. Big E and Drew are probably, watching on from, the top of the crowd. But yes, new Raw Tag Team Champions to end the night. Or so we think the night is over. We see Cody going to leave. He's got, his bag. There's one with the wheels on it. He puts all his shit in. And he's obviously hugging and kissing Brandy because he's now leaving. He's like, I'll see you later. I'll be waiting here. Because Brandy's obviously going to be running heat. And she goes, Dustin's waiting out there for the car. And he goes, great, see you, I love you, babe, bye. And he leaves. He goes, Dustin, where are you? And he goes, oh my god, Dustin? The camera pans and Dustin's been attacked. Car door is open. Dustin's leaning up against the open door, bloodied, shirt ripped. Cody's like, what the fuck? Dustin, answer me, get up, who did this? And he gets up, he goes to look around, look for help. And he goes, hey, we need a doctor over here, we need a doctor. And then he turns around, and car horns blare, and Cody Rhodes gets run down. And then the doctors also run over, Brandy probably runs over as well, as both Rhodes brothers are out cold, and Cody has been the victim of a hit and run. 91 rated show, that's fucking great. Big show time here. You know, Gauntlet was fun. Path of the Dragon winning, what a moment. I imagine the pop was similar to that of the Acclaimed. Because it's been a long time coming for those boys. They finally made it. And then Cody, of course. A somber ending. Who did that? Who ran down Cody Rhodes? I'll have to wait and find out. But first, it's time for Heat. Heat kicks off with a quick promo from Alexa. You know, Brandy's immediate, unannounced, had an immediate issue she needs to attend to. Very urgent. So they haven't had time to put a replacement in. So Alexa's like, hey all, I guess I'm working overtime tonight while Brandy goes to tend to whatever that was. I mean, terrifying situation for Cody we just saw there. I hope it gets resolved soon. No joke. But I guess I'm temporarily running Heat tonight as well as Raw. And that's all fine and dandy because it means I get to book, talent that actually deserves to wrestle on this show. And that includes Tatum and Ivy, They're going to be having a tag team match. And the opening match here tonight. Against two workers from NXT Japan, Thekla and Ram Kaicho. And it's actually quite a good match, considering who's in it. Ram gets a 45, a 35 for Thekla, a 39 for Ivy, and a 30 for Tatum. But Tatum picks up the win in 12:53. Yeah, because one of these had really good psychology. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Ram. So, yeah, the match went long. And yeah, an impressive win for Ivy and Tatum. I think that might be the first time they've actually tagged up together. Anyway. 74 rated match. Candice gets a win because she does a lot of jobs. So she's getting a win over Wendy Chu. 840 for Ballsplex. 86 for Candice, 47 for Wendy. That's fine, that's a good match. Tag team match. Another quick win for Toxic Attraction. They beat Katana and Kaden. Neither of these two are Japanese, so they both make it out of the match unscathed. GG submits Kaden with the Tilt-A-Whirl Dragon Sleeper. 59 for GG, 51 for JC, 60 for Katana, and a 45 for Kaden. And then we get a quick segment from the SmackDown Regal Coalition, because Alba fires in the main event against Kylie Ray, and he's just putting them over again about how Alba's going to be the next Liberty champion, and how they're going to dominate SmackDown and really make a name for themselves on the Blue brand, and Heat, I guess, and Velocity. And a 75 rated main event, Alba beats Kylie Ray in a 10-minute match, which should be pretty good. 80 for Alba, 66 for Kylie Ray. Kaylee Ray versus Kylie Ray, you see. Then the show gets a 74, which is fine, it's Heat, doesn't matter at all. What does matter is what you thought of the show. Mainly Raw, but if you also want to let me know what you thought of Heat, that would be funny. So, without any more hullabaloo, I guess, Cody's been run over. We have new Raw Tag Team Champions. We've got a huge main event set for Unforgiven. That's just from Raw. And SmackDown should be massive, We're going to hear from Seth freaking Rollins following his cryptic arrival at the end of last week's show. See you then.